What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Bluebird Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, newly crowned 3-belt, unified, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr., who is 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Errol Spence was on hand and witnessed his fellow stablemate and close friend, two-time junior middleweight world champion superstar boxer Jermell Lions Only Charlo as he took on WBO junior middleweight world champion, undefeated Argentinian star boxer Brian Castano in a highly anticipated undisputed rematch. Jermell Charlo went in the fight 34 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout, 31 years of age, 6 feet tall with a 73.5-inch arm reach, okay? So this was the second fight. The first fight ended in a draw, okay? That was July of 2021. So that fight ended in a draw. This was the highly anticipated undisputed rematch, okay? And Jermell Charlo, it was an action-packed fight from beginning to end, okay? It was no dull moments, just like in the first fight. In the first fight, there were no dull moments, okay? From every single round, it was just exciting, okay? You was on the edge of your seat. You didn't know what was going to happen. They was exchanging hooks, exchanging big punches, clean punches. You know, it was just excitement from beginning to end, okay? Brian Castano, he came into the fight, 17 wins, no losses, 2 draws, 12 wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'7.5" with a 67.5-inch arm reach, okay? And so in this fight, nip and tuck fight, okay, back and forth. They were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But then there was a turning point in the fight, okay, where you saw Jermell Charlo starting to take over, okay, and that was around the 6th round. It was up in the air who won the 6th round, but it was a close fight, a close round. The fight was close, but you could tell to a degree that at that point in time, you know, Jermell Charlo was starting to take control of the fight. And in the 7th round, he clearly won the 7th round. Then he clearly won the 8th round. Then he clearly won the 9th round. Then we go into that 10th round. And once we got into that 10th round, Jermell Charlo, he showed up and showed out. He dropped Brian Castano twice in the 10th round and ultimately got the knockout victory. So with that said, after the fight, now we know Jermell Charlo, he created history. He became the 7th undisputed 4 major sanctioned belt Ring Magazine lineal champion in the history of the sport of boxing. Only behind number 1 at Bernard Hopkins at middleweight. Number 2 was Jermaine Taylor, who beat Bernard Hopkins. At number 3, you have Terrence Crawford at junior welterweight. At 4, you have Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight. At 5, you have Josh Taylor at junior welterweight as well. At 6, you had undisputed, currently he's still undisputed at super middleweight, Saul Canelo Alvarez. And that's 6, okay? And so Jermell Charlo became the 7th fighter to do so and create history and be the first fighter to do it at junior middleweight, okay? And so with that said, Errol Spence was on hand, history was made, and Jermell Charlo has now cleared out the division. Now, there was big fights that was left on the table, not to his doing. There was a unification, massive showdown between Jermell Charlo and Swift Jarrett Hurd, who was the unified champion after he beat Erislandy Lara. But Hurd, he then lost his fight with Julian J. Rod Williams. That was setting up for a storyline because Julian J. Rod Williams had fought Jermell Charlo's identical twin brother, who's the undefeated 2-division world champion and a reigning WBC middleweight world champion, in Jermell Charlo. Okay, so he, J-Rock lost and knocked out by Jermell Charlo. So the storyline was there for J-Rock to make a comeback, face off against Jermell Charlo, and beat Jermell Charlo for undisputed, okay? In a unification bout, excuse me. But guess what? J-Rock, homecoming fight, Jason Rosario, he loses, okay? So he loses the unified belts. Then Jason Rosario faced Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo knocks out Jason Rosario, picks up the other 2 belts, okay? He picks up the WBA and the IBF. With that said, you know, that set the table, you know, for Jermell Charlo to become undisputed, and he did so. Okay, the first fight was a draw. We didn't get the resolution. Yesterday answered all questions. Okay, so he cleaned up the division. He had a fight with Tony Harrison. He lost the first fight. He had a rematch with Tony Harrison. He knocked Tony Harrison out. Okay, Jermell Charlo has shown his versatility, ability to box lateral, box on the back foot, box coming forward, box on the inside, box at mid-range. Okay, he could just outbox you for 12 rounds if need be. Use a great jab, high ring IQ, or he get a stoppage, right? And he's doing so in impressive fashion. The first half of his career, he was seen as just a pure boxer. His brother Jermall was the knockout artist, okay? And Jermall, right now, 32 wins, no loss, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. So that tells you the story. He was considered the puncher. Jermell was considered the pure boxer. But he got with well-renowned trainer of the year, future Hall of Famer, in Derrick James, and he turned into a boxer puncher and displays all his talents, okay? Put all his talents on display, all his versatility, and all the tools in the toolbox. And so with that said, Errol Spence was on hand to witness it. And Jermell Charlo has been getting the short end of the stick when it comes to being included in the pound-for-pound list. A lot of people, they point to Jermell Charlo's personality outside the sport of boxing, which has nothing to do with what he does in the ring. That's one thing I never liked, okay? It's just like in other sports. You don't vote a guy into the Hall of Fame because you don't like the attitude he had, okay? He didn't talk to reporters and peers and all these other people, they vote on if you make it into a Hall of Fame. It should just be your body of work on the court, on the football field, in the boxing ring, on the baseball field, wherever. Your body of work there has nothing to do with if you want to be, are you comfortable with talking to media, or your personality needs to be hunky-dory and joyful all the time, or if you just mean all the time and you don't want to talk to anybody. That has nothing to do with your actual skill set and what you accomplish in the ring. And so because of that, Jermell Charlo, I believe, has been getting the short end of the stick as far as being on the pound-for-pound list. And so Errol Spence is having none of it. And so after witnessing what he witnessed yesterday, Errol Spence has always resided on the pound-for-pound list. Once he started to make a serious name for himself, once he beat Kell Brook in 2017 for his first title opportunity in the UK, and then he started collecting the belts, he's always been a figure on the pound-for-pound list. So now Errol Spence has gotten to the point where he's letting the world know, take me off the pound-for-pound list and replace me with Jermell Charlo. He deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list. Well, we know Errol Spence is a loyal person, and this just is a testament to his loyalty and to his character and to his personality outside the sport of boxing, okay? And so he's vouching and he's campaigning that Jermell Charlo deserves to be on that pound-for-pound list, and that even if you have to take him off the pound-for-pound list and replace himself with Jermell Charlo, he needs to be on the pound-for-pound list. Well, to that, I say this. Errol Spence doesn't need to be replaced with Jermell Charlo because Jermell Charlo has his own place on that pound-for-pound list. Pound-for-pound list is always subject to opinion, okay? But you have mainstream media that many fans in the sport of boxing, they turn to, okay? You have ESPN's worldwide leader in sports, their pound-for-pound list. You have the so-called boxing, the Bible of boxing, the Ring magazine, their pound-for-pound list. Those are the two pound-for-pound lists that the casual fans turn to. They turn to Ring magazine pound-for-pound list and ESPN's pound-for-pound list for validation. And then on those pound-for-pound lists, it's all subject to opinion, and it's all agenda-based, okay? And so with that said, Errol Spence is number 2 in my opinion on that pound-for-pound list. I have Terrence Crawford at number 1 because of his longevity, and now I have Jermell Charlo at number 3 on that pound-for-pound list. You can have a guy like Canelo Alvarez, who deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list, 4-division champion, still undisputed at super middleweight. For sure, he deserves to be on the pound-for-pound list. But he needs to be knocked down the peg. And the reason being is that you witnessed Canelo Alvarez lose 2 fights in which he was completely outclassed. Okay, he was completely outclassed in his 2013 September showdown with legendary retired Hall of Fame iconic superstar boxer Floyd Money Mayweather, where he lost every single round. Okay, the only rounds he may have won in Gardner was the rounds that Floyd Mayweather in 11 and 12 when he knew he had to fight in the bag and he just was moving around the ring celebrating as he always does. Okay, and then his most recent fight with Dimitri Bivol, in which he got outclassed and won a total of maybe 3 rounds in that fight in its totality. He got badly outboxed and outclassed. Okay, then you look at his fight with Erislandy Lara, just 2 fights after the Floyd Mayweather fight, in which he was losing that fight, and that's a controversial win on his resume. He won a split decision, but many people, 80% of the people, when they did a poll, thought that Erislandy Lara won the fight. Okay, then you have the 2 questionable fights with Gennady Triple G Golovkin, which the second fight is the biggest win in his career. So he has questionable wins on his resume, yet you still will have the quote-unquote Bible of the boxing magazine and the Ring magazine saying that Canelo Alvarez is still top the list, or ESPN still having him top the list. Jermell Charlo is number 3 in my opinion. And the only reason I don't have him ahead of Errol Spence is because Errol Spence has fought multiple Hall of Famers en route. And Terrence Crawford is longevity. Okay, Terrence Crawford has knocked out 10 of his last 11 opponents. He's a 3-division champion, undisputed at junior welterweight. Okay, so I believe Jermell Charlo is number 3 on that list, as he deserves to be. So Errol Spence doesn't have to be replaced. Jermell Charlo just needs to be added, period. But they'll tell you that Inoue, who has some good wins in his career, fights in the lower weight classes, but he struggled with Nonito Donaire, who broke his orbital bone, and then he gets knockouts. He's exciting, but it just gets a little overstated. He's not overrated, just his accomplishments gets overstated, and so people have him in top the list. People have him ahead of Errol Spence. So that just lets you know. But nonetheless, Jermell Charlo, in my opinion, is top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. He's proven it, fought the best. If he had a loss, Tony Harrison, he avenged it. He had the draw with Brian Castano, he avenged it. Both knockouts. No question who won. Okay? He left no answers. He left no questions unanswered. He closed the door on both the rematches. And he deserved to be pound for pound top 3. So Errol Spence vouches and says, take me off the list. If you got to put him, if it takes from you to take me off the list to put him on, then take me off the list. It's a shame that we have to go to those measures because, again, the casual fans, they turn to the Ring magazine and ESPN. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.